Welcome back to Columbus Brick by Brick, the show where we uncover the people, projects, and ideas shaping the future of Columbus, Ohio. I'm your host, Jon Styer, broker and owner of Styer Real Estate Professionals. Every week, we sit down with local leaders, business owners, and community voices to explore how they're building, investing, and innovating in our city. Today's guest is someone who lives and breathes real estate at full speed. Abigail Swihart Valentine, the founder of the Valentine Group and realtor with Red One Realty. From house hacking her first property at just 21 to owning over 35 rental units and leading a fast-growing team, Abigail's journey is packed with bold moves, strategic thinking, and relentless consistency. In this episode, we dive into how she scaled her business and the tech tools that keep her team running smoothly. We also explore the power of mentorship and the legacy she's building right here in Columbus. So whether you're a real estate pro, an inspiring investor, or just someone who's curious about the stories behind the growth of our city, this one's packed with value. Let's get into it. Well, Abby, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you coming onto the podcast. It's great having you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you started out in real estate young. You started 21, house hacking, and now you run a very successful business as a realtor and a consultant for real estate owners and investors. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got started to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. I started working at Apple in high school and college, and loved it, learned a lot of people skills. And one day, one of my dad's old friends walked in that I'd only heard about through like family, stories and everything. And his name's Don Kenny, who is a very successful developer in Columbus. And he owns Kinsale, Scioto Reserve. He's built thousands of units. He walked into the Apple store, and I happened to be the one that helped him. So it was really like a weird universal thing that happened. And I started working for him at his like multi-family development firm and his utility company. And my eyes were open to how successful real estate could make someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I started working for him right out of college. And it was there that I bought my first house, and my two girlfriends, Jenna and Brittany, lived with me, and we split the rent 3 ways. Like, I was very fair about it. And it gave me like a taste of what owning real estate would be. And then from there, I pulled out a HELOC on my house and I bought a rental with it. Classic. Yeah. And I remember not knowing a lot about financing. So I was told no a lot on my first rental. And he kind of helped me learn different ways of lending and different ways of moving your money around in rentals. So it kind of snowballed from there.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so now you've kind of started out small with one property. You've built up a portfolio for yourself. Mm-hmm. You work with owner occupant buyers, sellers, traditional buyers and sellers. You work with investors. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about a philosophy that you've learned along the way that has kind of guided you towards success.
That's a great question. I think that the beauty of real estate is it could be so many different things. And there is such a gratifying piece of helping buyers and sellers out, right? And it's beautiful, but they're usually one transaction every couple of years. And as like a real estate professional, and I love it, having my investors that purchase very frequently is a nice balance. And then owning my own rentals is kind of just, it's like diversifying your portfolio. Mm-hmm. And there's some things that bring you joy for a long time. And then, the market may change, things may change, and you can kind of pivot, and I can lean on my rentals or my investments when I need to. So I think that philosophy has helped me a lot with my clients, and it's made me a better agent. I've been able to speak more deeply about what a true investment looks like, even from a primary occupancy standpoint. Mm-hmm. And it's easier for me to talk about because I own so many units, right, and I can speak to, the long-term effects of owning something.
Yes. So it sounds like you kind of view the different strategies and client profile, as well as yourself, as kind of different streams of income for you and your business. You get the fulfillment that you enjoy with working with people buying homes to live in.
Yes.
You get the repeatability working with investors, and you kind of get the annuity of owning real estate and everything that comes with that, with, you know, your appreciation and your cash flow and all the other aspects.
Yeah, I think of it as all fluid. And I think that I would love clients to think about real estate more fluidly. Sometimes it's like, oh, I'm gearing up for this one closing. And sometimes there's not a lot of forethought on how this would affect you in the future. And I think that with the clients I have, or even the investors I have, having kind of a 5-year plan, even for a primary occupancy, is really important. And being able to speak to those things, it's really helpful.
Yeah, time keeps marching on.
Yeah, time will march on, and it will go on past this closing and past that 1031 exchange. It's just going to keep going. So we should have a general plan.
Right. I agree completely with you. It's hard to look past today.
Yes.
And but it's important because it's going to happen.
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
Even for me. So
I get it. Well, let's talk a little bit about the past.
Of course.
I want to hear about some strategies or systems that you implemented in building a portfolio that you have. You know, not everybody can build up a management portfolio a ownership portfolio of 35 plus doors. That takes time and it takes intention.
Yes.
So I'd love to hear a little bit kind of how you did that.
Absolutely. I think 35 doors to me is something I'm proud of. It's something that you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, how did all of that happen so quickly? But it really started off with my first investment, which was my primary house in Polaris, with Jenna and Brittany, all of us splitting the rent and watching CSI Miami till like 11 o'clock at night. And it was wonderful. But after I was working in sales, I would do small updates to that house. Okay. So I bought it kind of like from an older couple that didn't really renovate it, but it had great bones. So one commission check for a utility contract that I'd sold for Don Kenny would pay for the kitchen, and the next one would pay for the bathrooms, and the next one would pay to finish the basement. And all of a sudden, 5 years later, it was worth $75,000 more. And capitalizing on equity is a really beautiful way of taking something that you have and, you know, making more with it.
Sure.
So you always want your money working for you, and having that untapped equity for me was like gold. So the first step was figuring out how to pull from it. So traditionally you could do a cash out refinance. I wasn't interested in that. I was more interested in a home equity line of credit. So I can like reuse the money, pay it off, reuse it. It's ongoing. Hypothetically, a cash out refinance could be too, but it'd be a little bit more of a mind game. So I think the HELOC was the best move for me. And buying my first rental, I purchased it from Tim Dye of Upward Home Solutions, who I also used to work at Apple with. So it's like a very full circle thing for me. It was $60,000, and it was on a road called Southampton in Eastmoor. And I remember being like, I was literally 21, asking banks to like lend to me, please. I had to bring 30% down for my first rental, and that HELOC paid for it.
Yeah.
So it was wonderful, but I mean, I was not very leveraged on it. I was very cash poor by the time I closed on it. And then I thought to myself, like, what am I going to do? All of this money is now in the rental. I've moved all the home equity line of credit on the primary into the rental, and though I'm grateful for it, like, how do I move it again? That is when I utilized a cash out refi on that one after, I think, 8-10 months maybe. And I bought 2 more units with it, and I didn't need to bring any money down. And that was, I kind of understood what I was doing the first 2 purchases, but by the next 2 rentals, I was like, okay, I get it now. I understand. And it was then I decided to kind of leave my corporate job. I loved working for Don Kenny. I think it was such an honor to work for someone so successful and smart. But it wasn't going to propel me the way I wanted to. So I ended up working for a gentleman named Dustin Faith. And he was wonderful, more of a single guy investor that had flipped and had rentals. And it was there I kind of made more money where I could buy more investments and put more down payments. But truly, I think the best way for anyone to start off with is a primary occupancy or just a house for themselves. And then kind of rolling that equity into investments has been the best thing for me. And by the time I kind of got rolling, I had the 1, then I had 3, and then the 3 became 6. And it was a rinse and repeat off of something called the Burr method, which is very like a viral term now.
Yeah.
And it's not as sexy as maybe people think it is. I think you see numbers online of, oh, I Burr method and I took home $30,000. A truly good Burr method, you just don't bring any money to closing.
Right.
Or like very little to closing. Because you essentially got it for free.
If you're walking away clean, it's infinite cash on cash return.
Yes.
That's a huge win.
I think that's a huge win. And I think that if more investors kind of shaped their mind and lowered expectations on the cash out piece, you'll be much happier. And though you sometimes will hit a win, and I'll call that a home run, and you bring 10, 15, 20, 9 times out of 10, if you can leave scot-free, like that's the way to go.
I found that the hardest part recently in the Burr method is on the back end, getting the rent to cover the mortgage as rates went up.
100%.
It's just gotten harder and harder. That's a big reason why we implemented the midterm strategy.
Yeah.
Which has its own ups and downs, but the front end of the Burr is like a flip.
Yes.
Right? Which you can always find flips.
Yes.
You'll always be able to find flips. It's the getting it to work on the back end where you're cashing out, you're happy with what you're getting back, and you're not, eating it every month on, on your debt service.
That's what I was going to say is that the debt service ratio, I think, is really killing people right now. And it's even paused me to buy recently. I think that my best strategy for something where the debt service isn't covering it, or, the numbers aren't working for the lending side, is really always having a deep Rolodex of lenders. I love being loyal to my lenders. I love being, friends with them. I think they're wonderful. But the problem that you come to with commercial or investment lending, it changes. And it could be a boardroom that decides they're not doing it anymore. It could be shareholders that could decide they're not doing certain things anymore. And the best thing that you can do as an investor is constantly be asking friends, colleagues, Facebook groups, who are you using for your lending? And having 10 people, I used to have a spreadsheet, and I would be like, this cash out 80-20, 75, 25. Last I spoke to them was this date, interest rates were here. If I if I do a cash out of this is how it affects the interest rate. If I do a what's called like a rate and term where you don't take any cash out, this is what the interest rate. And I used to have a literal
I remember
Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, I know, like calling like, okay, I got 30 lenders to call. I'm looking for my unicorn.
Yes.
And then when you find them, it's like, okay, I'm going to do as many deals as I can with this person while I can.
Yes.
This is like the product exactly that I need for what I'm looking to do. And eventually, you're right, it dries up.
It dries up. It dries up quickly. And it's a lot of like private investors that invest in those lending companies, not so much like Fannie Freddie products. So it literally could be a phone call of like, we're not doing this anymore. And your whole strategy is kaput until you find someone. And I found myself, as much as I want to say like the 35 rentals were all rainbows and butterflies, it was probably a lot of crying and like ice cream between things. That happened to me where I was like $1 million out on hard money loans and private lending notes. And my like tried and true lender that I loved dearly took my latest refi to a boardroom, and they said, we just lent to her 5 months ago, 4 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever. No, we'll only do this. And it was like earth shattering for me because I had purchased 7 or 8 units thinking I was going to do this one thing. And then all of a sudden I was scrambling. One went to this lender, one went to that DSCR person, one went conventional. And it was like earth shattering because it was when interest rates went up pretty dramatically 2 or 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
End of 22.
End of 22. It was like August. I remember it. Yeah. It was like a tornado where like all of the air stays still.
I know. I actually got a great deal right around that time.
Yeah.
Because the market died.
Yes. It
And
went silent.
yes, it did.
Silent.
And I just so happened to be looking for something right at that time, and we still own that property.
He
But
got
I
a great
remember
deal on
thinking
it.
like, oh, I was like, this is great. On
Yeah.
market.
Yeah.
Like it was just sitting like it should have sold, and I was able to negotiate a great deal out of it. And I love that property. It's actually right. It's in Clintonville, not far from
I
here.
love that.
Yeah.
We love Clintonville.
Yeah,
we
me
love
too.
Clintonville.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what happened to me. And I learned, the hard way. And when I had a lunch that next week, and the investor I had lunch with, a little older than me, he was like, "You're just a young boxer that hadn't been punched in the jaw yet. Like, welcome to the ring." And I remember being like, "No, I've been in real estate like 6-7 years. Like, I've been through it." No, sweetie. Like 2014 to 2021 was a very different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
And that really made me, okay, no, I'm not always going to make money. It's not as glamorous as people think it is. I'm very good at suppressing bad things. So
Those were the high times.
those were very high, and I capitalized on it, and I did great. And then it's pivoting and going back to my Rolodex, and the people you loved and took care of, it's not in their hands. The sales guys, the lender, the loan officers, it's not even in their control.
Right.
So you have to understand that.
Mm-hmm. And, people start out and they're used to like Fannie Freddie, conventional FHA. That's what you know as far as lending goes. But when you get out of that, which eventually you have to if you want to scale a portfolio.
Yes. Can you only have like 10, I think?
You can have 10.
Yeah.
You can have 10 conventional. And even that's hard because you're going to run into debt income issues. So when you start getting into commercial and DSCR, the guardrails kind of come off, and it's just, we're going to do what we want to do.
It's the wild, wild
It's
west.
the Wild West.
Yes.
So having those great connections and those people that, trust you and also can get it done is of such value.
I think that's true. And I think that when you're getting into investments, being a fearless networker is going to make you so much more like damage proof. Like you're going to have more options. And I didn't love the options I had, but at least I had them.
Yes.
I had outs when the market turned. So I think that's the best advice I could give anyone.
Yeah. Well, I like that. Just a fearless networker.
Yeah.
Who pushes through, and you've pushed through it. I mean, you're sitting here talking to me.
I'm sitting here talking to you.
Yeah.
Like a couple bruises, like the chip on my shoulder, but like we're here and we're good.
Well, good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you've mentioned that your superpower is consistency.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear a little bit about how you use consistency to scale and grow your business.
Oh, that's a great question. I think that consistency isn't glamorous, and consistency isn't what's going to get you views or likes. And there's a lot of times, like with my husband or like late at night, that I'm back in my office, like getting things done, because there's a lot of distractions that we have, from cell phones to shiny object syndrome. There's just distractions everywhere. And I think that in our generation, more than ever, we have things on our wrists or our fingers that are buzzing at us, and taking time and time blocking and like turning things off or leaving your phone in the other room to sit and do something is really vital. And it's not pretty, and it's going to be a lot of fumbling around, but it has been able to propel my businesses to new heights by kind of putting in that quiet work. And it's not fun, and it's not glamorous, and it's something you don't post online.
Yeah.
But genuinely, the more time you work on your CRM, the more time you work on your systems. I'm a big systems person. And I think that plays into the consistency piece too. A lot of upfront work on your CRM and or your systems, whether you're an investor or in real estate, that will save you. And that will pick up pieces when you don't get the opportunity to be as consistent. And sometimes consistency doesn't look the same every day. Today I have this podcast, I have a closing, I have another meeting, and then I have a drywall meeting. And I'm not going to be able to be on my computer as much. There's a balancing act of, okay, well, then I really need to block out time tomorrow. Maybe I'm not going to hit that Pilates class that I wanted to. Maybe I'm not going to, I'm going to have to make some sacrifices. But it's so vital, especially in our world where details and being meticulous is what will set you apart.
Yeah, and that's the thing I think that sometimes people struggle with in time blocking is that, yeah, you may need to move your time blocks around. The key to being successful when you do need to do that is you still do that thing.
Yes.
You just do it at another time.
Yeah, I'm not like a Tuesday 9 to 11 girl. Like, that's never going to work for me because my schedule changes based on my client or my team's needs, and I'm always going to put them first. I will have time for myself. It just is going to look different. I believe every day I want to get a good walk in. I want to be outside, but it changes. And I think having the wherewithal of like, okay, no, I can't do it this day. It's going to be this day.
Yep.
And it's just, that works best for me. Some people need it more rigid than that. But with growth, I think being rigid is not the best. So you have to be able to pivot.
And the discipline to be consistent is the hardest part.
Yes.
But if you can achieve it, you can be successful.
Yes, I agree.
Well, you mentioned your team. And, as you grow, I think that building a team is crucial.
Yes.
Whether that be agents around you or a support system. Tell me a little bit about how you went about assembling your current team and how you guys operate.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I didn't really realize I needed a team until I got pregnant. And I didn't really realize I needed some property management help until I got pregnant. Like, there's so many things that when life hits you, you're like, oh, I need help. And I'm not used to asking for help. Like, I'm a very independent person. And I kind of just started leaning on people that I've always leaned on. When I'm on vacation, I would always call a guy named Nate Price and Emily Durbin. There's two people I'd always call. They can cover showings for me. They're wonderful people. I trust them with my clients. And it just, things happen in a way that you and I could never predict. I was like going through different things. I was busy. I was on a trip. And those two people were always consistently there for me. And I remember planting the seed about like 8 months before it really happened, was like, if I'm going to do this, I need some experienced people with me. It started off just needing help with my own listings and my own buyer clients. And then it turned into like, I forgot I'm a great marketer. Like, I'm a great marketer. I'm a great networker. I could help other people grow their businesses too, and having the support for me. So it ended up that Nate switched brokerages. Emily was already at Red One. And I remember planting the seed about 8 months before. And I remember getting a phone call from him and he goes, yeah, it's time. Like, we're doing this. And I'm like, you know what? Like, yeah, January 1, we're doing it. And I call him like my co-captain. And he likes working in the shadows. He's a team player. But genuinely, I got to go back to my roots at Apple, being in technology and seeing how automations can help us and take care of us, that it really has given tools to my team members to grow their businesses. So we have Nate and Emily, and then we have two newer agents, Dalton and Lauren. So we're kind of small but mighty. And having some experience on the team where it's more collaborative has just been such a blessing. It's not me on my own in my own ship anymore. I've got wonderful top-tier agents that have the knowledge and the breadth to be able to pass it on. And we're all team players. We don't really compare numbers. You're
working together.
We're working together. Yeah.
That's great. You're steering the ship in the right direction.
Yes. And it's nice because we all have very similar mindsets in different stages in life. So things that I've gone through, my team doesn't have to go through, and I think that's the beauty of it. And if I look back now, like, being on a team would have been great for me. I didn't do it. I don't know.
You saw yourself through, though.
I saw myself through, and now I get to help others, get past hurdles quicker than I did. And I think that's like a very rewarding piece of it.
Well, good for you. If you've been listening to this podcast, you know that I believe in building real estate businesses that are scalable and sustainable. And that's exactly what we help agents create at Styer Real Estate Professionals. If you're an agent who's ready to grow and tired of spinning your wheels, then consider this. Growth is change. At Styer Rep, we coach to your strengths, match tools to your style, and help you scale your business without burning out. And there's no fluff, there's no hang your license culture, just serious growth, real systems, and 100% commission when you cap. So head to styrrep.com/join us to start the conversation, because it's time to go from where you are to where you belong. Speaking of that, seeing yourself through, Can you tell me about a moment where you maybe took on some significant risk and how that paid off and what you learned from that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think leaving a corporate job is a significant risk that a lot
Jumping
of
in.
yeah, I think a lot of investors can relate to that, where you have this nice paycheck. And I also sold energy contracts for this utility company. So I had huge, they were commissioned, but they were like monthly, and they got cut off the day I leave, right? And I had years of these commission checks guaranteed. I had just sold a huge apartment complex deal. I had all of Oakwood Management's utility contracts, which was thousands of units. It was the biggest contract the utility company had ever had, besides like a hospital we had. And I just remember being like, am I going to leave all this? Like, and you started counting for things. Well, rent is this much a month, or my mortgage is this much a month. This is my Jeep payment. Oh my gosh, like I'm going to need to make $3,000, $2,000 a month to cover this. Like that's a lot of money. And I remember, I can't say this story without talking about my now husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, saying to me, like, as long as you can make $1,500 in the next 2 months or 3 months, like we're good. I'm like, well, I can make $1,500.
Sure.
I can sell on Poshmark. I can sell on eBay. I'll be a bartender if I have to. Like I can do that. And I just remember that happened, and then COVID hit. And I just remember being like so excited, so gung-ho. I'm going to do all this stuff. I have my investments. I have these like refinances. I remember being so high on life, like I'm free. And then COVID hit. And I was like, oh my gosh. Thank God one of my girlfriends was like, I need to buy a house. And I'm like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, let me help you out with that.
I'm very free
Yeah.
moment. I'm wherever you need. And I do think that it takes a certain person to leave a corporate job.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's meant for everyone. I don't think it means that anyone's better than anybody else, but it does require a high amount of self-discipline, and it requires a creative brain that is willing to like put in work. So, okay, I can do this. This is my skill set. I'm good at marketing. I'm good with technology, and I'm good with people. Those are my 3 things.
Yep.
Like I'm going to need to figure something out there with it. And the payoff, I didn't really realize like how beneficial it was for me until about 2 or 3 years later. It's not going to be pretty at first. And nothing ever is. But
Sure.
Now on the other side, it was a huge risk. And I'm so glad I did it.
Well, it paid off.
Paid off.
Good for you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
you. I'm sure you have a similar story like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is my second career. So
Yes.
I actually started out. I graduated college in 2008
Okay.
or 2009.
Okay.
And that was the recession.
Yes.
And I graduated with a math degree. So
Yes.
it wasn't a good time to be finding a job at that time. I actually started working at a restaurant that I'd worked at in high school. And it was
It's like
temporary.
that's like humbling though.
Well, I loved working there, so it
Right.
was great. I had to get out of my mom's basement. Like I moved back to Columbus from college, and I didn't have a job lined up, and so I moved home, and I was like, I got to get out of here. I was there for like 2 months. I was like, I can't do this, and so I found a job at the restaurant that I worked at, and it was supposed to be temporary. And I ended up staying there for 10 years. I loved working there.
Oh my gosh.
Managing the restaurant.
So you worked your way up.
Oh yeah, I
Yes.
did. And for me, similar to you, I loved it. I really loved working there. I got a lot out of it. It was great in my 20s. In my 30s, it got tougher because I'm trying to settle down a little bit and everything. But also, for me, like I reached a point where I had nowhere to go. And
there was no upward movement.
There was no more upward movement.
Yeah.
And eventually, I'm the type of person who I have to keep growing.
Yeah.
I have to.
You're like a constant student. I think that's what I love about you is, and I feel that way too. Being a constant student of life is what keeps you like humble and pushing forward.
I'm always excited about the next thing.
Yes.
And if there's no next thing, then I'm shrinking and I don't want to be.
Yes.
So I am so lucky that I found real estate, and that allows me to consistently grow. And I'm always striving for growth and to learn. And that's a big reason why I do this, because I get to talk to people like you
Yeah.
who have unique experiences, and I get to learn from them.
That's cool.
So
I
it's
love
wonderful.
That. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So tell me about the role technology plays for you in your business. And, I'm sure there's a myriad that you use all the way from client interaction to property management. Let's talk about, a few of your favorite pieces of technology that you've found and have helped you grow your business.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the perfect platform, there's so many tech stacks or
Mm-hmm.
tech, whatever you want to call it. There's so many shiny objects that genuinely you need some feedback from like 10 people
Mm-hmm.
and you need to just pick it and stick with it and run.
A lot of them are so close. They do so
They're
much of the similar
so
stuff.
close.
It's how do
Yeah.
you, yeah.
Yeah. So for me personally, we use Follow Up Boss.
So do we.
I love it.
Me too.
It's wonderful.
It's the
and
best.
there's a lot of things that are like it and that I am sure are great. But I've just found the most success with it. And it's the most intuitive, easy platform. And what I want my client interactions to be, where it's like they don't need to know that Follow Up Boss exists or Real Scout exists, or, they don't need to know about those things. They just need a really nice experience sent to them. And that's kind of like brings me back to Apple, is like, you don't really know the things that are going on in the background that we do at the store.
Right.
You just know that when you get to your email and you open it up, it's a certain way and it's a certain look. And that's how I want listings delivered to my clients. When I'm sending follow-ups to them, I want it just simple. And that's what it delivers.
Yeah.
And it's very natural and intuitive. And one of the things I love is that it really can help separate like work and personal. And I don't know if you feel that way about it, but it gives my agents their own number.
Yep.
They can put Do Not Disturb on at 10 o'clock at night.
AI is attached to it.
Yes.
So it transcribes your calls. It summarizes them.
Yes. It just makes everything easier. And one thing I'm really diligent about, and I don't think that a lot of teams or brokerage, like I don't think this is normal, but I'm very adamant that you need your time. You need, I think the worst thing for a marriage is in real estate where you have to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And I do genuinely do that sometimes. But it needs to be for the right reason. And for the most part, some of these times for us need protected. And I think that is what's going to create a good longevity for an agent. I think it's going to create, and you do go through burnout periods because it's so fast paced. But if you have a really good technology behind it, it makes it so much easier to, go through the day-to-day motions without feeling like
you're sinking.
Fatigue. Yes. Task fatigue. You want your technology working for you.
Right.
So that's my favorite one. I use Buildium for most of my like long-term rentals. Buildium has been great. There's nothing quite like it. I know there's like Tenant Cloud and some other
Appfolio. It's a little more enterprise, but
yeah, and that's great. Like especially for because you guys are managing so many units. I think that's great. I've used Buildium. I like that you can text your residents, you have a number dedicated, you can have different logins for people. It does what it needs to do. And I think that's the piece about technology that I think that people get into. It needs to be perfect. It needs to be perfect. And I love things being perfect. Like I am a perfectionist, but you need to get it like 95% there, and then you need to go back to work. Like you need to go back and get on your phone. You need to have your client interactions. You need to build rapport with people. It needs to fill in the gaps. It's never going to be perfect. And I think Follow Up Boss is pretty much there for me, but it's there to help you. It's not there to replace getting leads. It is supposed to complement your life.
Right.
And that's how I think about it. It's a tool.
Yeah. If you're completely replacing yourself, then you're going to be out of business.
Yes. Yeah. And you need to like focus. Like for me, I need to be negotiating. Like that's where I'm best suited for. I'm negotiating, building rapport with clients, looking over data. That's where my like skill set is. I'm not the best follow-up person. I will forget. Like I'm kind of like if I have my blinders on and I'm focused on something, I need reminded. And that's why the technology is so great, because I'll be like, yes, we are at this point in the deal. There's a task for me. Like it's great. So
perfect.
That's been the best piece for our team.
Well, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid because we use it too, and I have everything the same to say that you do because I think that Follow Up Boss is, and I've used a lot of different CRMs.
Yeah, like which ones have you tried with you?
Oh man, when I first started in real estate, it was like I don't remember. It was like I don't even know how to describe it. There was the brokerage I was with had like a training, and it was just some rinky-dink CRM that came with it that doesn't even have a name. I forget. It was like a guru guy.
Okay,
his
got
thing.
it.
And then I've done KV Core, which
like
for
Bold
me
Trail,
really
KV
clunky.
Core. Yeah.
I've used I tried HubSpot.
Yeah.
And
that's really popular as a CRM for a lot of people, but
it's too enterprise.
It needs a lot of build out.
Yeah, it was. I think it was for a bigger. It's a bigger organization.
It reminds me of like Salesforce too,
right?
Like
exactly.
where you just really need like a lot of customization.
It was too much for me. I switched to Pipeline.
Okay.
Pipe Drive. I think Pipe Drive, and that was a pretty good one. I liked it, but it was too generic. And the reason I ended up going with Follow Boss is because it's for real estate.
Yeah.
And I don't regret the decision at all.
No.
Most CRMs are going to cover a lot of the same area.
Yeah.
But Follow Up Boss is a great CRM, and it's for real estate. And so for me, I have no intention of switching from that. The integrations are great. It integrates with our IDX website. It integrates with this and that and the other. And
it has all the plugins you need. Connects to Zapier. You're good to go.
It does great. So we're happy there. So, well, let's change gears a little bit.
Okay.
We've talked about the past. We've talked about the present.
Oh, gosh.
I'd love to hear a little bit of the future.
Ooh.
Where do you see yourself going in 5 years? Where do you see your team going in 3, 4, 5 years? What's the goal that you're striving for?
Well, I think that, I guess for me personally, like finding the best work-life balance has made me a happier agent, team lead, and mom and wife. And I think I have a grasp on it right now. It changes every day. But I think that really guiding the right agents and teaching what I know and teaching all the things I've gone through has been super rewarding. I don't envision my team getting too much bigger. Like I like our team of 5. I think maybe a team of 7 to 10 would be kind of our max at some point. But ultimately, what brings me joy is helping people invest, whether it be in their primary occupancies or, I have a lot of young women clients that are buying investment properties. And I think that has been the most rewarding thing. So taking that platform and reaching more people is definitely a goal of mine personally. And then growing my team. I think those two things are great. I do in the future see myself like 1031 exchanging some of my rentals and upgrading them. I think investments are always going to be like my heart. I love it. I love the data behind it. You're a math guy. My dad was a math professor. So there is a little bit of that brain in me where I just enjoy seeing the numbers and seeing the numbers work for you. And that's always made me so happy. And I think taking that and throwing some gasoline on it would be a lot of fun. And I don't know what that looks like totally yet, but I have some ideas that are brewing, and I think taking what I've already made for myself and figuring out what's next for the portfolio would be really exciting. But beyond that, growing the team has brought me a lot of day-to-day joy. And then just being able to take time for my family has been a higher priority than it used to be. So making sure that I've got the time at night or in the morning to do things makes me a happier agent.
Yeah.
And I know that pays off in waves with my clients too.
And building a team and being able to lean on the team, I'm sure helps with that as well.
Yeah. And I think that people are always like, how do you find a balance? How do you find a balance? There's no balance in life. There's genuinely not. And I don't know if you feel that way. What I am striving for is harmony. Okay. Like I don't need balance, because that means I'd be boring, and I don't need that. But I think harmony with finding joy and being able to take time away to do things and then going back into the chaos, it's never going to be a balance of like going into a team meeting and there's always going to be something going on with someone's contract that's going to tug at my heartstrings or something. That's going to be a consistent.
It's part of it.
It's part of it. There's no balance. But the harmony is what has made me lean into some more things at home, gardening, connecting with clients. I think that makes me a happier person in general.
That's great. I
Love that.
appreciate you sharing
Good.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in general.
You mentioned that, you've been working with a lot of younger women recently.
Mhm.
What would be some advice that you would give to a young professional, maybe a young woman that, is thinking about entering into the real estate industry, maybe as an agent or as an investor?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that speaking just generally as a American consumer, it's really hard not to spend our money,
Hmm.
right? Like it's so hard not to spend money. There's always a new car, there's always a new piece of jewelry, there's always new technology, clothing, and it can eat down to like little TJ Maxx expenses. It's just you have to save.
Hmm.
And I think that a lot of newer investors want something for nothing.
Hmm.
And I don't mean to sound like a geezer
Well,
about
they get
it.
sold on that. There's all these
Yes.
gurus and there's all these, fancy
Yes.
strategies that like just do this. This is the magic key, and it's
Yes. And the only people making money off of that are the gurus selling you their books and courses. Like
Mhm.
I know them. I'm
Yeah.
friends with them. But it's saving. You got to save 10, 15, 20% for your first down payment.
Mhm.
Like you have to. And a lot of the women I work with are tough as nails. Like little things do not faze them. I have a friend named Carly. She is about as tough as you get. And she owns millions of real estate and super, super successful. The advice I'd have for someone just starting off is figuring out to leverage what you have. Are you a good networker? Are you good with numbers? Can you underwrite deals? Take that, pour gasoline on it, and then put people around you that are better at, the things that you're not good at. And I think that goes for everything in life too. If you're a young agent starting off, you really need to look inside yourself, take a personality test. I don't know, figure out what you're good at, and really figure out how you can leverage that for you.
Yeah.
And maybe that means joining a team. Maybe that means you are independent and you try out your own investments, but you need to surround yourself with people that are good at what you're not. And part of the reason I love Emily on my team is I'm not good with fluff.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know if you can't tell. Like, I'm not good with small talk. I'm not good with comforting. I wasn't comforted a lot. I don't comfort people. Like, it's just something that I am constantly working out. Well, Emily is wonderful at it. And I was even talking to Emily the other day. I wanted to explain something to a newer agent of ours. She goes, don't do that. Like, please don't. Like, do you mind if I? And I'm like, yeah, actually,
By all means.
that's actually probably better.
Yeah.
Like, you take over. So I think for a new agent, really looking inside and seeing what you're good at, or as even from an investment standpoint, like see what you're good at. How can you leverage it? And then surround yourself with, a network that can help you. And you'll come across some gold nuggets along the way.
Mhm. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Can you tell me about an experience that you had, a mentorship experience where you were being mentored that has kind of shaped your career in a positive way?
300%. It was Don Kenny walking into the Apple store in like 2013. I don't know, 2012. I think that changed the trajectory of my life.
Mhm.
Genuinely, like I can say that without a doubt. My dad had always talked about him. My dad used to buy rentals from him. He was my father was a professor at OSU, and Don Kenny would sell him rentals.
Hmm.
And I always had heard about him growing up, didn't know what he looked like until I saw his name on an iPad screen checking people in. And it was funny because Tim Dye, who also sold me my first rental, was my boss at the time, that connected me with him and said, Abby, you need to help this guy.
Hmm.
And after that, his assistant reached out to my dad and was like, he'd love to do lunch. And it really opened my eyes to, oh my gosh, life is so much bigger than this.
Hmm.
The real estate is so much bigger than this. Like my success could be bigger than this. And I think that if I hadn't done that, I'd be working maybe a more traditional career path, which isn't wrong. It just wasn't for me.
Wasn't for you.
I never did well with authority
Mhm.
generally. So
I feel like that's a theme in this business.
yeah, it is a theme in this business. No one wants to listen to anybody. Like that's me. And his guidance on this is why we do investments. This is what you can do with it. This is how you can move your money around.
Hmm.
Really opened my eyes because I never thought that way. And
Mhm.
he taught me, like in school, you're taught to be a worker bee. And he goes, Abby, you are not a worker bee.
Right.
This is not how you think. And it really opened my eyes to, I could do this. And now he does large multifamily developments that are sold for millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. Obviously, I'm not there yet. But it really like shaped my way of thinking, is that there's so many more options out there. And his mentorship was just absolutely crucial. And just learning to think a different way, but also follow your heart. I think we all have like a little inner voice that's saying whether it's a good thing or bad thing for us, and getting to be more attuned with it. Like our intuition's pretty spot on most of the time. So between that and learning to think a different way, it completely changed the trajectory of my life, which was such a blessing.
Well, good for
I needed
you.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so important to have a mentor in this business, in my
Yes.
opinion.
Yes.
There's so much to know. And, I'm always trying to learn.
Yes.
There is so much I don't know compared to the amount that I do know.
Yes.
And continuous learning is such an important piece of continuous growth. Can you tell me a little bit about the role that continuous learning takes in your career, and how do you pursue it?
That's a great question. I think that my general way of thinking is I don't know everything. And even when you think you know everything, or you've been through a certain situation, there's something more you can learn. And every transaction has brought me more knowledge. And I like to be a fearless question. I'm questioning people all the time. And it's not to be, I think like as a younger woman, it can come off a certain way. It's not to be arrogant. It's not to be, but I constantly am asking questions to either title reps, lenders. Why is this, and some things are out of my wheelhouse, but genuinely asking questions and asking educated questions has brought me so much farther. So I think that's really important, is being a student of life, even though that sounds kind of corny. That's how I pursue it, is when I'm dealing with that in my transactions. I think that surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you and that are farther along in their real estate careers, it forces you to think inward and be like, I'm not doing enough. Or like, I could do this, or I could do more. And you don't want it to be, it drives you. And you don't need to be negative about like, I'm not doing enough, but you could think about it like, I could do so much more. Oh, these are the things they're doing. Like, I could do that. And having the self-confidence to realize maybe you're not going to hit the same mark the way that they do, but
you'll find your path.
You'll find your path by looking outward. And sometimes in our real estate, you can get so muddied into each transaction and like, oh no, I just need to close this deal on Friday. Like, this just needs to close. They have their moving van and they have their lending set up. It takes a lot to pull back and be like, where is this going to go in the future? And how is this affecting things? And if I keep doing it this way, I'm not going to be able to grow. And, my team's not going to be able to grow. So looking inward and putting yourself into, future examples of people around you, I think is the best way to propel yourself.
I really liked what you said about fearlessly asking questions. I feel like it's so easy to let your ego get in the way of doing that. I have no
ego. I'm like such self-deprecating. I'm like, too much.
Well, kudos to you, because I think that there's a lot of people that are in similar positions that do battle their ego, and it's a disservice to themselves, prevents them from maybe asking a question that they might feel is stupid of a title rep or a lender or whatever, because if you're doing it long enough, they feel like they should know.
Yeah.
But you're not going to know everything. You're always going to run into stuff that you haven't experienced before.
Right.
And you need to lean on experts, even though you might consider yourself one as well.
Yeah. And I'd like to say I do know a lot about certain parts of real estate, and I've been through the trenches on it.
You wouldn't have gotten where you are now if you didn't.
Yes. Thank you. I think that like being curious has always led me farther than not. If I have an ego, and I have been caught with like an ego a couple of times of like, obviously we should do it this way, or obviously why wouldn't we just do it this way? Being curious has always led me farther than letting my ego get in the way, and having the ability or the confidence to ask questions and kind of not be innocent, but like innocent in the fact of, I don't know all. I this person has 20 years of title experience. I'm gonna learn something from this, has really helped. And I think in general, you sometimes see a younger woman and you see a license number as a certain year and people talk to you a certain way.
Yep.
And they don't know I have 35 rentals. They don't know I've sold like hundreds of units. I think I'm close to 1,000. Like I don't really need to lead with those things, but it's just funny that sometimes I think people like to press different things on you and you have to like kind of roll with the punches, and it's probably better that they don't know, honestly.
Right.
Let them be.
Let them be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as we wrap up here, I want to know a little bit about how you define success, both professionally and in your personal life. And also, what kind of legacy do you want to leave professionally here in Columbus?
That's such a great question. And I've actually thought about that a lot recently I think I'm in a precipice in my career where like it could teeter either way. And also being a young mom, I'm now battling a lot of inner demons of my feminism of kick-ass Abby and she's going to do this. And I believe that success can be like seen in a lot of different ways. It could be being on covers of magazines or being famous or having a lot of money. And I think that genuinely, the longer I kind of think on this, I just want to be known as a person that helped people. Like, I don't need to be known as a famous person. I don't need to be known as the top real estate agent in Columbus, Ohio. Like, those things aren't necessary for me to feel successful. I think feeling success is genuinely having the freedom to put my phone down for an hour and sit on the floor and play Legos. Like, that genuinely I feel like is successful. I can't knock having enough money in my bank account to cover things. That's such a lie. Like, to say, oh, I don't need money. Like, everyone needs money. Unfortunately, it's a tool of life. And I very much believe in capitalism. So I genuinely think that my success, though, is valued at taking some great vacations, being able to pay for things, and being able to spend time with the people I love. And I don't think if you would have asked me that question 5 years ago, the answer would have been probably very different. But now in my position of having a family of my own, losing family members close to me, you just think of life differently.
Yeah.
And I want my legacy to be known as someone that genuinely cared about people and helped them to the best of their ability. And if that means I get a larger platform, great. If it doesn't, then great. Like, it's fine. I just want to be known as someone that genuinely wanted to help and cared about people and their careers and their lives, my clients' lives, the health of my clients, like the health of the people around me. Like, that is what I now deem as successful. And I don't think that's maybe society's version of success. But coming from someone, I made a lot of money at one point with a lot of investments, and I had someone very close to me die, and it doesn't matter as much as you think it does. And it does to pay your bills, and I can't knock it. But I value success as being able to be with people and enjoy good food or a good trip or a good vacation and really just be able to enjoy. And that's like genuinely what I think about success now.
Well, it sounds like you're doing it.
I think I am. I think I'm happy. I'm like in a good place. And I think that with my investments and the trajectory of my investments, it'll keep me on my toes. So I'll find something new and to do with them, and I'll learn new things. And my vision of those might change in 6 months, and it'll be great.
Well, I'm excited to watch it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Excited to see what you guys do too. I mean, you're just so busy now.
We're doing a lot, but
we're doing a lot.
You know, we're getting by.
We'll just be together, hearing about each other's stuff every.
Cheersing to our success.
Cheersing to success. Yeah. Cool.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
No problem.
Insightful conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, it was great chatting with you. Can you share with our followers and listeners and viewers where they can find you online?
Yeah. My Instagram at Abigail Swihart.
Perfect.
And my email is Abigail Swihart.
There you have it.
There you have it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. And look forward to continue to watch your future success.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Well, that's a wrap on this episode of Columbus Brick by Brick. Huge thanks to Abby for sharing her journey from her early house hacking days to building a thriving real estate business here in Columbus. We covered so much ground today, from smart systems and client strategies to personal discipline, mentorship, and future vision. If you found value in today's episode, do us a favor, subscribe, leave a comment or a review, and share this with someone who'd be inspired by Abby's story. Follow along with us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Columbus Brick by Brick, and check out more episodes at columbusbrickbybrick.com. And until next time, every brick has a story, and we're here to tell it. See you next time.